All right, you guys. So this one might be a little bit of a doozy. So we're going to be covering Poppy and Zena. That's the name of the channel. There's a lot to unpack here. There is so much to unpack here. And Turkey Tom did a good 40-minute overlook on this couple in particular, because there's so much lore here, you guys. There's so much lore, but in the meanwhile, let's get started so you can see what I mean.
Get right down to business. You will notice the chat has changed. That is
Okay, currently at the moment, the person on our left that is speaking, that is Poppy. She's trans. And the person that's sitting to her right, that is Zena, her fiance. I believe she was a cis woman. And from what I'm gathering is that, Zena is a cis woman, but she particularly, everybody's allowed to have a taste, prefers to date trans women. And there have been some allegations levied towards her on why she prefers trans women. It's a loaded thing. There's a lot of streamers that covered them in details when everything was breaking down. But I'll be linking 2 channels that I have been watching that covered them. And if you're bored when I get caught up on this lore, I will link Turkey Town, the Stardust Media Production, and goddammit, Malcom. Those are the ones that I've noticed. I've been watching that they covered this particular couple in details.
that will get you a role in our server if you do join our server. If you are a member of the our Patreon and you need to get into the server, let us know. The server is currently locked down except for new patrons, and those people will be vetted.
All right, so I cut out a big chunk out of that. Basically, they were going on and on about how they lost our website because there have been some serious allegations levied against this too. Child neglect and slavery of a child is one of them. And Poppy on the left is polyamorous, but apparently, even though they're polyamorous, they don't like it when their partners have partners. You guys, it's a whole thing. The whole thing is a mess. It's a whole thing. And long story short, and I keep on saying that, Poppy met up with somebody, and this person apparently is asexual. This person did not really want to meet up with Poppy. They talked this person to meeting up with puppies. They hooked up the puppy, and Poppy turned around to that Twitter and announced that they were essayed by deception, because even though this person made it clear to Poppy that they were asexual, they got pressured. There's a document dump that has been released. Stardust Media covered most of the documents, and I believe one of our live streams was like over almost 6 hours going through the documents. That, you guys, this couple is a lot to unpack, so bear with me. I'll try to give you tidbits here and there as we go along, but to get the full comprehension of the whole thing, the channels that I link, go watch them in full. And we're gonna deep dive through the videos and try to put these two together into an understanding, because boy, are they a gold mine. They are a gold mine.
The reason for this is
there's a large harassment campaign that is basically trying to frame anyone that's in our server at the moment. By the way, there's 1,000 people in there. Like, that's a lot of people to try and deal with, but they seem bent on it, so here we are.
Everyone else seems to have gone to hell. Mr. Hidden, you have no idea. Well, and this kind of goes along with what we're doing. I know that Sage and Zena are calling it our island arc. I'm calling it containment. By that I mean is that we're just not interacting with the online left at this point. The majority of them seem pretty much as reactionary as right-leaning people. They just seem to have better ideas. They do not enact those ideas, nor do they use them in their life. So there's no real point to engage with them unless we have a common goal. And that really comes down to short and midterm goals. I'm not talking long term. The big issue here is that like the age of bread tube and left tube, where shit was basically like a particular way and everything seemed kind of unified, that time has come and gone. Now there is a very large incentive for drama, a very large incentive for betrayal, backstabbing, etc., because there is a monetary and clout-based incentive for it. We talked about this in our video about No Flake and rape culture. And
Okay, all right. So there's so many side characters on this drama, you guys. I guess this happened over a year ago, but there's so many side characters. So I believe No Flake, her speaking on No Flake is the person that was asexual and was speaking through the Discord, and you could tell Poppy was doing all she could to make sure that they were still going to meet up with No Flake to hook up, and Poppy likes to build her harem. That's what they call it. And like I said, if you're part of Poppy's harem, Poppy does not like you having other partners, even though you're supposed to be in a polyamorous relationship. Yeah. And Zena doesn't seem to partake in that side of things, from my understanding. She doesn't really seem to partake in that part of the polyamory, even though she allows Poppy to partake. And as we go through the videos, one thing that's very important I must say, by profession, Poppy is a trained therapist. And as we go through the videos, you will see the language that she uses to manipulate people into doing what she wants them to do. She uses a lot of therapist talk. And she has created these personalities that one is a child, and it's another personality that she created. And I guess the way that people can decipher who's speaking through text messages between her and other people is that she uses different emojis so people know who is speaking. And when watching Star read through the documents, you could clearly see like what Poppy was doing. Like she uses anything and everything to manipulate people, which is so freaking scary that this person is actually by profession a trained therapist. With everything that happened in that thread, people finally got a hold of her employer to explain like this person is dangerous. She should not be allowed to be a therapist to people. Like, it's so much to unpack, you guys, so just bear with me. But I said all that mouthful just to say this. No Flick is the one that Poppy accused her of essay by deception, because after, like I said, they hooked up. No Flick dumped Poppy. Her ego couldn't take that. So yeah, that's where we're at.
There's also done a number of stuff on the tech side of things and how that affects dopamine in your brain and all that too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's absolutely at play here.
So basically, long story short is that, we're kind of changing the way we engage with things. Yeah, when Lindsay Ellis got chased off, I think that was a pretty good death knell. That was the beginning of our channel. And while we had some good times interacting with some people, I mean, pretty much everyone we've interacted with, except for pretty much Bosch, has, been very tribalistic, and even the smallest disagreement on strategy or politics seems to drive people
wedges.
apart. Yeah. There's also just a lot of misinformation. There's also this tendency that I would think people on the left would be better at. And again, we'll talk about this more in another segment, but like people just believe stuff. Someone hands you a document and that document has a framing on it, and that framing is immediately accepted. And then people read it from that framing, and there's no real critical thinking. there's no seeking both sides. There's no willingness to understand things. And so this week has been really wild because there's a couple documents floating around about us.
Okay, so this document dump that they're talking about, apparently a lot of this stuff happens in the Discord. And I get that there's a lot of trans youth out there, and some of them don't have the support system that they need, like from their families. So they find these communities where it's supposed to be the safe space, you know? So apparently there's some minors in there, and stuff that these two be posting in that Discord is highly inappropriate. And then on top of that, especially Pappy, her behavior apparently in the Discord is highly, highly inappropriate. And remember, you got minors. These kids are very, very impressionable. So the document dumps is basically about their Discord, how they meticulously archived everything. It was very well done, and a whole bunch. It wasn't just one person; multiple people came forward. And Pappy, before she transitioned, she was married, and when she got married, her wife was 3 months pregnant with a child, and Pappy, being honorable at that moment, adopted the child. But unfortunately, when the mother suddenly passed away from an accident from horseback riding, which is tragic, left a 4-year-old child, and Pappy did the honorable thing in raising the child. Everything apparently seemed to be going well until Zena entered the picture. And from what I have seen, from my understanding, from my own personal opinion, I think Zena became jealous of the relationship with Pappy and her daughter and put a wedge between them. But she did it in such a way that it stroked Pappy's ego, more so that Pappy started mistreating his own child or her own child at that point. So the documents include Pappy's daughter's point of view of everything that she's been through with these two. It's a lot, you guys. It is a lot. Like I say, bear with me. We get through this. And when I remember a tidbit, I'll throw it in here because it's so much information. And I'm probably going to have to watch a couple of our live streams from Stardust and Malcom to make sure that I remember everything because it's a lot. It's a lot.
We'll talk about these more as time goes on, but one of them is about my relationship with No Flake, in which a bunch of DMs are leaked, and the DMs basically paint us as a lot of like cherry picked stuff to try to make my panic attack seem like I'm abusive or controlling or something. It's really nonsense. And the joke of it is that even if that document were accurate, which it's not, that doesn't erase what she did. It's not a counter argument. It's at best an addition to the story. But even
And yes, you guys, before I forget, Pappy is also another BPD queen too as well. Fucking hate, man. But one thing you notice I picked up on, well, this is the first video, hopefully you pick up on it too, is that all of the mental illnesses that Pappy has, except for anxiety, you can take medication for anxiety, but all the elements that Pappy diagnosis herself with is stuff that there's no medication available for you for that. So therefore, there's no way to prove that you actually have the thing that they claim that you have. You notice that, and I think that's done on purpose, because how are you going to prove to somebody else that you have BPD? How are you going to prove to somebody else that you have multiple personality disorder? You know what I mean? Like, you just have to take the person's words for it. But her being a trained therapist, they know what they're doing. If you understand what I'm putting down, they know exactly what they're doing.
even if that was the case, that doesn't fit the narrative as to what happened. One of the things in there that's really interesting is there's this belief that we coerced her to come to the hotel we were at when there was a discussion Thursday to ask her to come. And then after that, when I said, hey, we're at the hotel in, the place where she lives, she said, yeah, I'm on my way over. There wasn't anything else. She could have just not shown up. She could have just not. And she did.
So you guys, it's going to be a couple of stops in this one. I apologize. But to give you guys context, the whole no flick thing, the person is asexual. Poppy would use her alternate personalities when they determine, and you can tell throughout their messages with each other back and forth. You could tell that no flick was really not interested in this. Poppy has one of our alters is a child, okay? So should we use the child alter to get Snowflake back on the hook? More for sympathy, like, can you feel bad, mommy? Which the whole thing, you guys, is so disgusting. But apparently Poppy is into, they find incest sexy time hot. Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing. But yeah, they use alters to get no flag to fall back bad and be back on the hook about this hookup. And I believe in one of the conversations as Stardust was reading the messages, it was just like nonstop bombardment of messages from Poppy to Snowflake. That went on for like literally 15 hours to make sure that Snowflake was going to show up for this hookup, because Poppy had to conquer Snowflake, and she had to get Snowflake into a harem, but Snowflake was just really not interested, So yeah, that's what Poppy's ringing about at this point.
And
then she was there the whole night. She could have left at any point.
There's a whole post with her going, oh, we knew there wasn't a chance in hell. Well, the thing is that he showed up with having asked her, okay, do you want to try and work on this in person? Is that worth it?
And ZZ said directly, you have a choice. In fact, we have that screenshot. It literally says, you have a choice.
And I did that. I did it a couple times. I really wanted to make sure that
sorry, I've been having allergy issues like no other.
Yeah.
You guys, the artist thing too. I find it odd. I don't know if, power to you, Zena, honey. Whatever gets you off, power to you. Is that Zena showed up for the hookup, but Zena did not partake in the hookup. Only Poppy is allowed to hook up with other people. It's bizarre. So you go with your partner to the hookup and you're good with that. You guys, this whole thing is, maybe I'm a brood. It's just so freaking bizarre. It's weird. I'm fascinated by these people. How come I'm just learning about them? It is bizarre.
No, I did that multiple times because I wanted to make sure. I don't mind giving people a second shot. If people say something out of anger and suddenly break up with you in anger and that looks like a trigger, I don't mind checking back in with them again to make sure that that's accurate.
Now, again,
that's what they really genuinely feel overall, especially when it comes out of nowhere.
We'll cover this again if we decide to go over that document. But I wanted to show this real quick just because I want you guys to know, if you go looking around the internet and you end up finding some nonsense on this, the reality is that the people are just lying.
Okay, so you guys just saw that little snippet of Poppy putting the screenshot up. I cut that part out because it's a one-sided conversation. You're not giving the context of the conversation, and I wasn't going to be stopping every 2 seconds, So I just wanted to let you know that I cut that portion out. Okay, now let's keep pushing.
And there's a quick claim I really want to address, because there's something that keeps getting pushed randomly that's kind of underground, but it's this weird accusation that Poppy and I have requirements of other people that we don't have of ourselves. But here's the thing. It's okay not to have the same boundaries. It's okay if two people do not have the exact same set of boundaries or a relationship. And no, I always make sure to ask people, hey, is there anything you need to talk about after this? You want to bring up is what are your needs? What are your wants in the relationship? Poppy does too. She also asks people these questions. And frankly, we're kind of learning that one of the major red flags that we actually have to watch out for is when people don't answer those questions. People that don't answer them tend to be a lot of the ones who are freaking out later, making up lies, not really understanding consent or anything else, and then spread bullshit about us to other people. This is a common thing that keeps happening. Sucks, but like the red flags we have to watch out for are like the really small ones nowadays. They're the really tiny ones.
So yeah, I just want you guys to know that like when you're engaging with this stuff, if possible, to recognize that there are people who have incentives to talk about this. My only incentive is to tell the truth. And we'll be talking more about some of this stuff later, but again, I just kind of want to paint a picture because we're going to go over this again. And I think it's really important to, make it clear to you that, there's a difference on the sides of this, right? And I hate to frame it as sides, but that's the issue. There are people who, have a vested interest in, wanting to essentially take away my income, right? Like, I want to be really clear. My action was to come out and accuse No of sexual assault. Her action, along with someone who coordinated it, was to send letters to my work and scare my boss into firing me. Now, granted, there's this idea online going on where like my boss fired me because I'm supposedly a sex pest. This is cope. The reality is that I was given an ultimatum. The ultimatum is either I cease social media and the channel or I will be let go. My answer was this violates my civil liberties as well as the handbook for my work because I did not say the name of our practice, which is the violation in question, and I did not engage in harassment. I only asked people to block the person who sexually assaulted me. Thank you, MC.
So there you go, you guys. You have it right there. So basically, no. Poppy, she said her motive was to accuse No Flake of essay, and No Flake's motive was to get Poppy fired. I don't know, you guys. But my understanding is Poppy's job was aware of their behavior and they tried to work with them so she could keep her job. But things had to be done her way. She wasn't going to cease and desist on her behavior online to save her job. That's essentially from multiple people that came forward what got her fired from her therapist's job. So yeah, so what I think I'm gonna do, because this is gonna end up being over an hour by the time it's said and done and editing, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end up making it a two-parter. So on the second video on them, that'll be my next upload, will be the second half to this video. So I'm trying to like keeping it shorter and making it more digestible. You know what I mean? So you guys, yeah, I'm going to cut it off here. And the next upload will be the second half of this live stream. And we'll finish up this video. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for indulging me. Let me know what you think in the description. And remember, sometimes I do forget to link the channels. So if you see that I forgot to link the channels that I mentioned, let me know in the comment section. But yeah, you guys, I will see you in the next video. And that'll be the second half of this same live stream. Okay, until then, later. Bye-bye.